Everybody, welcome back to another fun and exciting Algebra 2 class. Today we'll be in lesson 11.3. 512 is the page number. We're going to be talking about frequency distribution in this lesson. What in the world is frequency distribution? Well, I'm glad you asked because we are going to find out. Here's what it is. Frequency distribution is just another way of saying like how many times something happens, how much is it happening. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be making tables and charts and different things in this lesson about showing or sharing information with other people. The first thing that I want to show you is a frequency distribution table. This is going to display probability by using charts to help people to understand. Because a lot of times when readers look at data, they look at percentages, they look at information, numbers. It can be a little hard for them to understand. But if we put it into a table, into a chart, into a graph, something like that, it helps them to be able to understand it a lot easier. All right, so we have this one right here. And let's say that these are marbles. We've been talking about marbles. And so instead of just saying, okay, there are 4 red, 3 blue, 1 yellow, 8 total, we write it in the frequency distribution like this. And so people can see, okay, there's 4 red ones, 3 blue ones, 1 yellow one, and 8 total. It's more in a chart. It's easier information rather than just putting it into text. If you look over on the next page, it says that these probabilities can be reported in probability distribution table. What's a probability distribution table? Well, really, the only thing that we're changing in the probability distribution is we're taking off the frequency or the how many times it happens, and we're changing this to probability. Or, the fraction or the decimal or the percent. And so what we're going to do now, instead of putting these numbers here, is we're going to put how many. Well, the total is always 100%, right? And you could put this in decimals if you wanted to. You can put this in percents if you want to. So the red ones, there was 4 of 8, so that is 50%. The blue ones, it would be 37.5%. And the yellow ones was 1 and 8, so that is 125 or 12.5%. Okay, and that's all on page 513 at the top. In other words, all we're doing is taking the information from the problem and putting it into a chart so people can read it a little bit better. All right, so what is a two-way frequency table? A two-way. That's a one-way. I wrote this down, and I probably should have written it before, but the word frequency, I know we've kind of talked about it, but I don't want you to, continue to go through the lessons without really understanding what is the word. What does it mean when I keep saying frequency? All I'm trying to say when I say the word frequency is how many times it occurs. How often is this happening? Okay, that's the frequency of something. Okay, how many times does a red marble occur in the bag? How many red marbles are there? All right, here's a two-way table, and this problem is on page 513. A two-way table is really exactly what it sounds like. It's two ways, and it's a table. Not a table like you eat food on your table, a dining room table or a kitchen table, okay? A table like that is full of information, like something in your book, tables in your book. So a two-way table means that you can go horizontally with information and vertically with information. In other words, there's stuff going on both directions. It's going two ways. It's not just one group of information. This table right here was only going one way. It was only going vertically. Okay. We could also put information going horizontally, and that's what we're going to do here with the two-way table. All right, so imagine, if you will, you're at the supermarket and you're walking through the parking lot and you have lots of time on your hands, I guess, because you are counting the automobiles. And you come up with that there are 164 automobiles in the parking lot. Why are you counting cars in the parking lot? I don't know. You just are. That's what the book says that you're doing. Okay? So the vehicles are classified in two different ways. So I guess we have to count them twice. The first time we go through, we find out that there are 103 cars. 103 cars. There are 23 trucks, and there are 38 minivans. Then we go through and count them again, I guess, because we wanted to, or maybe we were marking them down separately when we did it. And this time we count them instead of by type of vehicle, we count them by the number of doors they have. Okay, so we count the door numbers. There are 19 with 2 doors. There are 8 with 3 doors, and there are 137 with 4 doors. What we want to do is we want to take this information and put it into a two-way chart. What does that mean? Well, look, here's one way we're talking about the doors. Here's another way we're talking about the type of vehicles. Okay, so you could label that. You could put on the top by doors, and you could put on the side by type, something like that, kind of a label there so people can know what you're talking about. I'm not going to take the time to do it since you already know what I'm talking about. But you would want to label this graph. You would want to tell people what they're looking at. All right, so let's go ahead and put some information down in these totals right here. And then we'll go back and fill in some other things because there's one more piece of information that I do need to give you. But how many cars were there? Look, cars total. How many total cars were there? So let's go over here and we see that there were 103 cars. So in total, we're going to put 103 for cars. Now, we're going to deal with this in just a second. We're going to say how many 2 doors, 3 doors, 4 doors. But for right now, let's just input the totals. How many trucks were there? There were 23 trucks. So 23. And then how many vans? We had 38 minivans. 38. Okay? And then we can classify these totals by doors. How many total doors were there, or cars with 2 doors? Oh, 19 of those. So now we're going to the vertical one. So there were 19 with 2 doors. There were 8 with 3 doors. And there were 137 with 4 doors. 137. Okay? Now we have the totals of both of those groups in there. This box right here, what this box is it's adding up these and it's adding up these, and they should add up to the same number. Why? Because we just evaluated the cars 2 different ways. So when we add this up, what do we get? 3 plus 3, 6 plus 8, 14, 6, 164. So when we added this group, we got 164. Let's add this group over here and see what we get. 19 plus 8, 27. 27 plus 137. Again, we're back to our 164 number. Okay, that is our grand total. Grand total. If you look at the page 513, you're going to see these ones out here are called marginal frequencies. Okay, marginal. And one way to think about that is they're in the margin. If you know what the margin of the paper is, it kind of looks like this. So if your paper is there and it has holes right there, okay, so this is called the margin of the paper. So that's one way that I remember it, is it kind of looks like it's in the margin, but those are marginal frequencies. All right, now we're missing a bunch of information right here, and we don't really have any way to come up with that information, or do we? How are we going to figure out what goes in all of these places? Like how many cars had 2 doors, and how many cars had 3 doors, and how many cars had 4 doors, things like that. What I'm going to do with this one is I'm just going to fill it in. I'm just going to tell you the information, and then in the next one, I'm going to kind of give you little bits and pieces of information, and then I'm going to show you how to fill it in. So in this one, as we were walking through the parking lot, we were writing it down. So we were writing down car 2 doors, car 3 doors, car 4 doors. So there were 12 with 2 doors, 0 with 3 doors, and 91 with 4 doors. With the trucks, there were 7 with 2 doors, 0 with 3 doors, and 16 with 4 doors. Minivans, there were 0 with 2 doors, there were 8 with 3 doors, and there were 30 with 4 doors. Okay? Now, let me show you what should happen now that we have all this information in. Each one of these should equal their total. Okay? So the horizontal total should equal 12 plus 0 plus 91 equals 103. Okay, we're good. 7 plus 0 plus 16 equals 23. Okay, good. 0 plus 8 plus 30 equals 38. We're good. Now, the other thing is all of these vertical rows should equal their total as well. 12 plus 7 equals 19. 8 plus 0 plus 0 equals 8. 91 plus 16 plus 30 equals 137. Just take my word for it, or you can add them up if you. What happens in the case, and you can look down at page number 514. What happens in the case that they only give us like partial information? Well, we can find out the missing information. All right, so if you look at page 514, and you can read that over, there's an experiment with 200 volunteers. They were told, this is example 11.3, to wait in the waiting room. They had a chair, a couch, and a TV. So a chair, a couch, TV, and books. And what they did was they monitored each person to see what they did. Okay, did they do this or what did they do? And so what they do is they give us some information. So let's just kind of copy down. Let's go through it piece by piece and write down what they give us. Notice it says of the 77 volunteers who sat on the couch. So that means that 77 volunteers sat on the couch. So 77, let me put it in this color, 77 sat on a couch. It says 32 of those watched TV. 32 watched TV, and 26 read a book. Of the 89 volunteers who sat in the chair, 89 sat in a chair, 47 watched TV, and 29 read a book. Then it says a total of 100 volunteers watched TV. Okay, so now we're talking about this line. So how many watched TV? 100 total watched TV. And 63 read a book. 63 total read a book. And it says the researchers also noted that those that stayed standing and those that neither watched TV nor books. So in other words, there were some people that did neither one. Some people didn't sit down. Some people didn't read a book. Some people didn't do anything. All right. So let's go through this. The other thing that I want to write down here is that our total was 200 people. That can be important to us. Okay. Now, there's missing information. The question here, the problem here is fill in the missing information. How are we going to fill in the missing information? Well, let's go here and let's talk about what can we fill in. Well, one thing that we could fill in is we have everything here that we need except for neither. So in other words, we had 77 total people. Go ahead and turn the page, by the way, 515 in your book. So we had 77 total. So if we take 32 plus 26 and we subtract it from 77, that's going to tell us how many people did neither one. Okay? So if we do that, we get 19 people did neither activity. Okay? Same thing. If we take our chair and our people in the chair that watched TV and that read a book, we add them up and we subtract it from this 89, we are going to get this missing spot. All right, and it is 13 people did neither. Another one that we could do, look at this right here. We know that this is supposed to give us 200. So what we can do is add up this, that's the people on the couch, add up this, that's the people in the chair, and that will tell us how many total people were standing. Okay, and then subtract it from 200, and we get 34 people were standing. We can now do this row and this column and this column. How do we do those ones? Well, we have 100 total people that watch TV. So if 32 sat in a couch, 47 sat in a chair, we add those up, subtract from 100, and we would get that 21 of them were standing. Same thing here. Add these up, subtract from 63, and you will find out that 8 people stood up to read their book. And now we have everything that we need for the standing row right here. So we have 21 plus 8 minus 34, and that's going to give us 5 people did nothing. I mean, these people, they were like statues, okay? They didn't sit down, they didn't watch TV, they didn't read a book, they just stood there, okay? So 5 people were statues. So how many people did neither? They did not read a book, they did not watch TV, they did neither. You would just add that column up right there, and that's going to give you your total, and that is 37. 37 people did nothing. They didn't read a book, and they didn't watch TV. Now what we should happen, and this is one way to verify this, 100 plus 63 plus 37 should give us 200. And just kind of go through and check all those things out there. All right, so there's really one more thing that we can do here, and we can really do it one of two ways. We have to kind of choose which way we're going to answer this. So we can find the percentages, but we either have to find the percentages like of the couch people, or we have to find the percentages of the TV people. If we say, let's find the percentages of the people who were on the couch, we can do that. How are we going to find the percentages of the people that were on the couch? We would say 32 over 77. And then you just go to your calculator and do that division problem. So 37, 77 equals, that would be 0.48. So this would be 48%. So I could erase that and write 48%. So of the people on the couch, we're just doing the couch people because we used 47 or 77, 48% of them. Now, I want you to see the difference. If we go back to our number 32 and we do it of the TV people, now we're doing the people that watch TV. See how this box can change. Now we're doing 32 divided by 100. So we'll clear that out and do 32 divided by 100, and that's going to equal 32%, okay? And so we were at 48% when we were doing the couch people, but with the same square, we can do this way and we get 32% because now we're doing the TV. So if you change them into percents, you have to tell me, or you have to tell the reader which one that you're talking about, because it's not going to work for both. You can't make a percent that works in both positions. The one thing that you can do is you could do a percent of your total. Okay, now watch this. And this would work for all of them. In other words, we could do not percents of the couch or not percents of the TV. We could do each one separately. So in other words, we could do couch and TV. So this one is both, right? This one's both couch and TV. So if we do it over the whole, the 200, we would end up with 32 over 200. So just divide that out. 32 divided by 200, and that's going to equal, that's 16%. So if we do it over the whole, we would get 16%. So you do have to let me know how you did your percentages, okay? And that is called joint frequency. When you're dealing with these ones here in the middle, that's joint frequency. Then you can also do the same thing over here with these ones. These are marginal frequencies. It's like they're in the margin, right? So you could put, if you want, you could put 77 over 200, and you could find what it is for this marginal frequency. So just take your calculator out and do 77 divided by 200, and that will tell you that it is 38.5%. So that's called marginal frequencies. These ones over here are called joint. Now, when you do them over 200, they're called joint. But earlier when I did them just over their own row, like for example, when I showed you like each row separately, those are on page number 518. So those are conditional relative frequencies based on column or based on row. And you would have to explain to me, okay, yes, I'm doing this based on row or I'm doing this based on column. So there's really like 3 different ways that you could do these. You could do by row and column. So you're just doing, for instance, you're just doing couch, okay? Or you're just doing TV. Those are row and column. Those are conditional. Then you could do relative joint frequencies, which are these ones here in the middle, or you could do marginal frequencies, which are these ones here in the margin. And it's all based on putting it over the total and then doing the division, and you get a percent or a decimal out of it. Okay? All right, that's all I have for you. Hope you learned something today. We'll see you later. Have a good one. Bye-bye.